The following program is sponsored by the Building Wisconsin Television Network.
Welcome to Building Wisconsin. I'm Stuart Keith, and on today's show, we'll learn more about operating engineers as we visit the massive new Zoo Interchange project near Milwaukee. But before we catch up with Terry McGowan from Ops Local 139, let's learn more about the Wisconsin Department of Transportation from its secretary, Mark Gottlieb. Wow, I love the rendering capabilities these days. This gives us a great aerial view of what the Zoo Interchange is going to look like. And here's a 3D model. And I just can't help but think of all the planning, the design, the coordination that goes into a project like this.
It's a remarkably complex project, Stu. This Zoo Interchange is the busiest interchange in the state of Wisconsin, about 350,000 vehicles passing through here every day. A lot of the commerce of our state, a lot of the industry of our state, not only in the Milwaukee area, but head out towards Madison, up towards the Fox Valley, passing through this interchange. And as you say, it's a very complex project, and we rely on a lot of partners to get a project like this built, not only the Federal Highway Administration, other local government partners, but our consultant engineer and contractor partners. At the end of the day, at the Wisconsin DOT, we're responsible for making sure that this project gets delivered on time and on budget, but we couldn't do it without all the partners that we have working with us.
And you know, even though it's located near Milwaukee, the southeastern part of the state, a lot of people might not be familiar with it. It's called the Zoo Interchange because here's the Milwaukee County Zoo right next to it.
Right, we name a lot of our interchanges after local landmarks, Marquette, the Mitchell, Hale. This is the Zoo Interchange because, as you say, right there is the Milwaukee County Zoo.
When we talk about different projects in the Wisconsin Department of Transportation, a lot of us will think, myself included, highways, roads, bridges, but you're much more encompassing than that.
Oh, definitely, Stu. We're thought of as a highway agency, but we also administer a variety of programs to assist local governments financially in maintaining their street and road systems. We provide technical and financial assistance to 81 public transit systems around the state. We run the improvement program for over 130 public use airports in Wisconsin. We're involved in freight and passenger rail, and we're also involved in harbor improvements at the 29 commercial ports around the state. So we're truly a multimodal agency. And we also are responsible for the Wisconsin State Patrol, which enforces traffic laws in our state and makes sure that our commercial vehicles are operating safely and that our truck size and weight laws are being enforced. And lastly, the Division of Motor Vehicles, where we do 50,000 transactions every day with over 4 million licensed drivers and over 5 million registered vehicles.
Wow, just thinking of all the different facets of the Wisconsin DOT, it definitely is a vital aspect of our state government, that's for sure. And, you know, I can't help but think about the quality of life here in Wisconsin and how it's tied directly to our highway system. But with that quality of life, with our great highways, we're very fortunate here, comes a price. And what would you like people to know, the residents of Wisconsin, about the cost of highways and doing business here?
Well, you know, our highway system is generally funded through user fees, the gas taxes that you pay when you fill up your car and the vehicle registration fee that you pay. And unfortunately, what we've noticed over the last few years, and this is not just true in Wisconsin, it's really a national phenomenon, as vehicles become more fuel efficient, use less gas per mile driven, what we're finding is that the revenues that we're taking in to maintain this system are not keeping pace with our increasing needs and with costs. And so that's an issue that we're certainly going to have to deal with here in Wisconsin.
Sure. And so, you know, when you think of it, these are all public roadways. I mean, there are roadways. It's not just the DOT's roadways. This is for everybody to enjoy, not only in Wisconsin, but from a tourism standpoint too, people passing through. The commerce, you mentioned the Zoo Interchange. It really is the epicenter of commerce transportation in our state.
Oh, absolutely. And if you think about Wisconsin's economy, really what does it rely on? It relies on manufacturing, agriculture, and tourism. And each of those three components of our economy really depends on a safe and efficient transportation system to get workers to and from their jobs, to get raw materials into businesses, to get finished product out to markets here in Wisconsin, around the country, and all over the world, move agricultural products, to move forestry products, and as you correctly pointed out also, tourism is a big industry in Wisconsin. We want to make sure that the people that are coming to visit our state have a safe and efficient roadway system to travel on.
And I'm glad you mentioned safety because fortunately our roads are very safe. They're becoming even safer because of projects like this.
Absolutely. We design all these projects. Really, safety is paramount in our minds. And so I think what we've seen over the last few decades are that as obviously vehicles become safer, but also roadways are becoming safer. And that is translating to significant reductions in traffic fatalities. We hopefully once again this year will have another reduction in fatalities. We have a goal in the department called Zero in Wisconsin. We're shooting for zero preventable traffic deaths. But clearly, as a result of some of the things that we're doing, there are people alive today who otherwise would have been killed in traffic accident.
Sure. Well, on today's show, we're hoping to get out, see a little bit of the construction process that's now underway with the Zoo Interchange. What's it mean to you to keep traffic moving smoothly in our state? I mean, is that important?
Absolutely. Minimizing congestion and delay really helps the economy. In fact, we just released a new report called the Travel Time Reliability and Delay Report. And when you look at the cost to businesses and individuals of delay on our interstate system all around the state, that amounts to over $225 million a year. And that's really lost productivity in our economy.
Boy, per year. So it doesn't take too many years to pay for a project like this or any of the other projects you're involved with in the state of Wisconsin.
Sure, we're making investments all around the state. You know, people think about these projects like the zoo, which are big, complicated projects, but, you know, we're doing hundreds of projects all over the state to make sure that every area of the state has the safe, efficient transportation system that it needs to survive and thrive.
Sure. Well, with projects like this, it's going to keep our highways moving smoothly, and they're going to be safer for all of us. I appreciate you coming on today's show, giving us a little insight to the role of the DOT in our great state.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
So even though the letting for this project is happening in 2014, you started the Zoo Interchange near Milwaukee here several years earlier.
Yeah, in fact, this is just the construction schedule. We started the planning and design for this many, many years in advance of 2012. So here we are. Yes, we have a major letting where we're going to begin the work over the next several years in the heart of the interchange. But we've done several projects already and are currently finishing some up this year that are going to set the stage for success. One of those is the Highway 100 project. We're expanded that from 6 lanes to 8. And also the Watertown Plank project is currently underway. And both of these projects are going to provide some great access on the arterials that is part of the plan for rebuilding the interchange.
So when you undertake a project like this, you really think about convenience for not only residents of the Milwaukee area, but commerce as well.
Right. You have to have a plan, and that plan involves providing some alternate routes that are going to provide a safe and efficient way for people to divert. So we have to make sure that we can build these very complex projects and minimize impacts to the traveling public. On this Zoo Interchange, the plan here is to improve the alternate routes. We call it the box, and that way we can then have upgraded and much more safer and efficient thoroughfares where we can divert traffic during the nighttime hours when we're working on the heavy construction. And basically in the heart of this interchange, we will be able to maintain throughput and access on our alternate routes that very much minimize the delay that people think come with this mega construction. We also are going to keep 2 lanes open in each cardinal direction during the AM and PM peaks so people can come and go to work and that they can have some normalcy over the multi-year construction schedule. That's very important that we maintain public support. We've been able to do that on our other major interchanges here in southeast Wisconsin. It's very important.
And you know, it seems to me, just listening to you talk, it's not your first rodeo. You've been involved in several other big projects in the area.
That is correct. The construction team here is filled with great professionals from the design team that are continuing to work on this plan, and also the operating engineers and a lot of the laborers and the folks that have built the bridges and put the walls up and poured the concrete. They know how to work in these very tight windows, keep the work zone safe, and most importantly, maintain the schedule for the consumers here that travel through the interchange.
Well, I've said it time and time again, we're so fortunate, and a lot of times I feel that it's unappreciated, the work ethic and the skilled professionals we have performing projects like this.
Yeah, I know maybe the residents of Wisconsin don't know it, but they need to know it. And I've seen it firsthand, both from my staff and our people out there. The craftsmanship and the level of expertise that goes into the construction of roads and bridges is very, very much important because it can contribute to a safe and efficient roadway system and be built on time. So we have really high quality folks here that are working during the night. A lot of people don't see that too, in the cold and sometimes very muddy and less than favorable conditions, and they get it done time and time again. So we are very fortunate in Wisconsin to have very hardworking folks that work together as a team to deliver these products for the taxpayers.
And you say work together as a team. It seems to me that the role of the DOT, you don't really build them, you manage these projects.
Right, that's very important. We don't get into bulldozers, we don't operate the cranes. Those are the other folks, those high quality craftsmen. But what we do is make sure that we can deliver these projects on schedule, that we communicate with the public. We minimize surprises and try to eliminate them completely. We communicate the project, its benefits and its impacts and the stages in which we're going to build it to all the stakeholders. I mean, you look at who's around here, State Fair, Brewer Stadium, Milwaukee County Zoo, on it goes with all the great things we love to do during the summer. We like to get around, the tourists that come flowing through. It's a part of Wisconsin, and so we can have it all. We can actually rebuild our infrastructure, maintain our posture for economic growth in the future, and still get through it and get through it each year. And before you know it, I often say this, in a blink of an eye, the project will be done in 2018.
Sure, and so it seems to me you're happy with how it's going so far, and with the timeline of 2018, is it going to be completed on time?
Yeah, we are on a good pace right now. We have a good schedule. We always get the weather thing. Sometimes we'll get rain, sometimes we'll get a brutal winter like we had 13-14, but we're maintaining our schedule right now. We are on pace to continue towards our trend to 2018. Very confident of that.
Well, great job. Keep up the good work, and I appreciate you coming on, giving us a little insight.
Well, it's been a pleasure.
With more than 1,700 signatory contractors, Operating Engineers Local 139 is growing, thriving, and providing a skilled workforce for Wisconsin's future. If you're considering a career operating heavy equipment, Local 139 offers in-seat training and the opportunity to earn as you learn when you start your apprenticeship. Our training site in Coloma, Wisconsin consists of nearly 400 acres of rolling kettle moraine hills, where our members have access to current and late model equipment with guidance from our experienced instructors. Skill improvement classes are conducted in the field and in the classroom to help our operators diversify themselves and to hone the skills they have already acquired. And with 6,000 hours of on-the-job training for the entry-level operator, you can be among the highest paid skilled members of the construction industry. So if you want to be part of a well-trained, safe, and proficient workforce, become a member of Operating Engineers Local 139 and help build Wisconsin.
Well, Terry, even though the Zoo Interchange project technically hasn't started, to me there's a lot of activity going on in preparation for it.
In preparation of it, Stu. I mean, this is going to be such a huge project that the setup itself has taken a couple of years. The first letting is actually coming up in August for the actual Zoo Interchange.
But yet here, it seems like they're actually building a box around the whole project.
They are. They're boxing it in so they have an easier time for traffic to access the commerce that has to come through this huge intersection.
Really, because as we've learned earlier in the show, the Zoo Interchange right here in Milwaukee, even if you're not from Milwaukee, it still affects you because it is the general crossroads of the state commerce.
Absolutely. Anything that's coming out of Wisconsin, any products, commerce, anything, whether it's from Milwaukee, Green Bay, Superior, if it's on the road, it comes through this intersection if it's got to get out of Wisconsin.
Sure. Now, we're just situated to the west of the interchange. What is going on at this location right at Highway 100?
Well, right now they are relocating the railroad tracks. That's not a temporary fix. That's a permanent relocation for the railroad tracks that come through here. Right there you'll see a foundation drill he's actually putting caissons down deep enough to hold the bridge abutments that come through here. And you'll see the cranes that are here to work to set the beams for the bridges for the railroad crossing. And once all that's set in, they will reroute traffic after they let the actual zoo interchange.
And again, this is all in preparation for the main construction. And that's just a testament to a lot of the professionals and the planning that goes into a project of this magnitude.
It's incredible. And Wisconsin DOT, through their engineers, have done such an incredible job of coordinating this. It's one of those things that the public just doesn't realize. All the people working behind the scenes at DOT and everybody that goes to work to try to make sure that these things get done so that we can keep commerce moving, keeps jobs coming to Wisconsin, and of course, it keeps my guys working.
Sure, and your guys are the operating engineers. And let's just touch on the ops. I mean, what their role is, and let's start by explaining how long they've been around.
We've been around for over 113 years. Our training center has been located in Coloma, Wisconsin since 1976. Our first apprentice came into the program in 1930. So we've been training operating engineers throughout the state of Wisconsin for a long time. You've seen our training center up in Coloma.
Yeah, it's impressive.
Over 95% of the transportation projects that go on in Wisconsin are done by operating engineers. We operate the heavy equipment. That's what we do. That's what we do on this project, whether it's foundation drilling, hoisting rebar for tying before a pour in concrete, hoisting beams for bridges, or hoisting gang forms to form up the bridge abutments. These are all the tasks that our people do. If you'll see over here, we've got bulldozers, we've got excavators for digging foundations, and we've got sheep's foot for compacting the soil before they pour anything on top of it. These are all the things that you saw our guys practicing to do when you visited Coloma, Stu.
That's amazing up there, and to get hands-on experience out in the real world, in the field, but also in the classroom there as well.
Also in the classroom. And the next time you go up there, you will see underway the construction of a $10.2 million indoor training facility that our members decided to finance so that they can continue to train even in inclement weather. It'll be a huge indoor arena, and that's just the kind of commitment that our members have, that our members dedicate towards the infrastructure construction for the state of Wisconsin.
That's what I love about the trades, especially the ops, self-funded to make it better for all of us that live here, really raise our quality of life.
That's right. This is the real deal. There's no more rehearsals. We get it done here. When the Marquette Interchange got done, everybody remembers what a huge project that was. Not only did that come in under budget, there was no lost time for injuries on that project.
Wow, that is wonderful to hear. Now let's take a little walk around and see some of this equipment. You can fill us in on what it's used for.
Let's take a look. Stu, this is the 5299. This is the most common workhorse on any bridge project when it comes to lattice boom crawler cranes. They're a friction rig. They're known for their ability to set beams very lightly, very delicately. There's nothing fancy about them, but it still takes a high skill set to be able to run one of these efficiently.
Has a piece of equipment like the 5299 changed over the years?
It hasn't changed much at all. Most of our bridge builders just find it useful the way it is. American has actually been out of business for a number of years, but they don't really modify what they've got in the 5299. You'll see a lot of these up at our training school. It's a huge training tool. Some of the younger operators look at them as old dinosaurs. They are a very useful tool in bridge building, and it's a workhorse that a lot of our veteran bridge builders really enjoy running.
Okay, now looking in the background, you had mentioned earlier they're driving some pilings. What piece of equipment is that?
That's actually a caisson drill, Stu. That's going down to bedrock, and that's going to put a foundation in for the bridge abutments to sit on top of. That's what supports our bridges.
That looks like a massive column that's being drilled.
It is. It's a full column, and what they typically do, now they've got methods where they'll put stone in there instead of concrete, but a lot of DOT projects and a lot of bridge abutments are still using concrete foundation.
So that'll go all the way down, and who knows, depending where you are, it could be 10 feet or it could be 100 feet down until you hit bedrock.
That's right. It just depends how far you got to go.
And you mentioned that they're actually permanently moving the railroad tracks over?
Yes. Typically what they'll do on a DOT project is temporarily reroute something. This is a permanent relocation of the existing railroad tracks. And that's what they're constructing up here right now.
A great example of the state DOT working together with the railroad companies for the better good of all of us.
That's right. And Stu, coming in, you saw the utility lines, the large utility lines, everything else being relocated. When you think about it, people don't see all the gas, communication, electric, everything that's got to be relocated in the right-of-way to accommodate a project like this is huge. And that's all part of the staging before the actual project begins.
Now right here with this cat, is that one of your guys?
That's one of our guys, Stu. That's a 966. That's actually a loader when it comes off the showroom floor, but they now have forks on it to service any trade or craft that needs box or utilities or rebar or bundles of wood or anything else. You put the forks on and you deliver it to them.
So it seems to me that the operating engineers are the facilitators of a project.
Actually, in our Constitution, it says that our job is to service other crafts, and that's exactly what we do.
Gotcha. Now in the background, that red crane there, that looks like the one that I had the opportunity to sit in on the west side of Madison.
Oh, believe me, Stu, I remember that well. That's a 999 Manitowoc. Before we looked at the 5299 American,
sure.
That is a Cadillac in the industry. This has got a higher capacity. It can be hydraulic or friction. The 999 can perform just about any service that you want a crane of its capacity to perform for you.
And again, that comes back to the training. The operator has to be highly skilled, highly trained at operating a piece of equipment that's probably over $1 million.
Oh yeah, easily. To your left, you'll see the American 110. That's 110 ton capacity. This person's task during the day is hauling gang forms up to that bridge abutment form.
Oh, again, servicing
other crafts.
Other crafts.
Yes, so the carpenters put the gang forms together, and then the laborers go up there and they pour the concrete.
Well, you know what amazes me? This is just one small area, maybe an acre or two in size of this massive project. Can we go on the other side and take a look at what's going on there in preparation for this big project?
Let's take a look. There's really a big area up by Swan Boulevard and Watertown Plank Road.
With more than 1,700 signatory contractors, Operating Engineers Local 139 is growing, thriving, and providing a skilled workforce for Wisconsin's future. If you're considering a career operating heavy equipment, Local 139 offers in-seat training and the opportunity to earn as you learn when you start your apprenticeship. Our training site in Coloma, Wisconsin consists of nearly 400 acres of rolling kettle moraine hills, where our members have access to current and late model equipment with guidance from our experienced instructors. Skill improvement classes are conducted in the field and in the classroom to help our operators diversify themselves and to hone the skills they have already acquired. And with 6,000 hours of on-the-job training for the entry-level operator, you can be among the highest paid skilled members of the construction industry. So if you want to be part of a well-trained, safe, and proficient workforce, become a member of Operating Engineers Local 139 and help build Wisconsin.
Well, Terry, we're now on the northeast quadrant of this huge zoo interchange project that hasn't even started yet. Yet look at all the construction going on.
Again, Stu, this is a part of the prelude to the actual construction of the zoo interchange. We are at Watertown Plank and Swan Boulevard. And you'll see right over here, they're actually performing demolition on some of the existing bridges and putting up new bridges. You see excavators, off-road material haulers. Of course, here we've got another loader with forks on it. What they're doing down there right now, Stu, is they're taking it down to the sub-base. They're loading out concrete, asphalt, the old pavement, and everything else. They took those concrete back slopes off the bridges. And what they're doing right now, Stu, the excavators are loading them into the off-road material haulers. And you'll see 1, 2, 3 excavators and a loader back there right now that are working to do this. We do have one more excavator over to the side.
Oh yeah, I see that.
He's putting underground utilities in. This goes back to what I said before. The underground utilities that have to be moved and replaced, relocated, well, they're actually putting in new underground utilities, and this all has to be performed before the pavement comes in.
And again, the ops or the operating engineers, they're an integral part of all this. They're working with all the crafts.
Yes, again, you won't see any craft on a highway project like this more than you'll see operating engineers. This is our bread and butter.
And these are all operating engineers that were trained up at Coloma that have the know-how and the skill to do it properly.
I'm glad you emphasized on that, Stu. You're absolutely right. They were trained in Coloma. These members put $5 million a year annually into training. And they've just increased that considerably because of the indoor training facility that we talked about earlier, Stu.
Sure.
So these members are dedicated. They don't just talk about safety and training. They put their money where their mouth is.
And again, the operating engineers, sure, they're here operating the equipment, but they're really servicing all the crafts to make it get done on time and on budget.
That's right, and safe.
And you know, whether it's a huge interchange like the Marquette Interchange, the Zoo Interchange, or a state highway anywhere in our state, all these projects revolve around funding, and that's really at the forefront right now.
Stu, we're at a critical point right now. And the most important thing for the taxpayers of Wisconsin to do is, number one, there's a referendum November 4th where they have an opportunity to vote to segregate the sanctity of the transportation fund. Number two, we have to find funding sources to continue these projects. Right now, our transportation program is facing a $680 million deficit before the biannual budget comes up next spring.
So this referendum will actually secure that funding for many generations to come.
That's right. You remember just a few short years ago, Stu, there were raids being done on our transportation fund. There were elected officials that were raiding that fund and using that money for purposes other than transportation. And it left a huge hole, just a huge gap in our highway trust fund. And the debt service was being paid out of our highway trust fund. We had to backfill that with general purpose revenue just so that we can continue to build the infrastructure throughout the state of Wisconsin. And step number one, before we come and look for any sort of sustainable revenue source, is going to be instilling security in the taxpayers of Wisconsin by making a constitutional amendment saying that you cannot use that money for anything other than transportation.
So you're saying this amendment, you vote yes for, it's so that when we have segregated funds for highway construction, that's what they're going to be used for. They can't be rated.
That's absolutely right. When you pay an extra nickel or dime at the pump, you expect that money to be used so that when we have a winter like we had last winter, you're not driving around chipping your teeth on all the potholes and uneven slabs that heavy frost created. Everybody has to let their legislators know it's okay to fund transportation. Sustainable funding is what we need in order to keep this thing going. Wisconsin commerce is not going to move without improving projects like the Zoo Interchange. The Zoo Interchange is the commerce intersection of the state of Wisconsin. We've got cranberries, lumber, paper, manufactured goods. All these things are coming through here to get down to the Illinois market, the Indiana market, all down through the South Midwest area.
Well, it makes sense to me, and when you look at projects of this magnitude, sure, it's about employing workers in the state of Wisconsin, but it goes far beyond that. We're talking about the quality of life here to attract new businesses, to attract tourism dollars, and just to enjoy, from a resident standpoint, everybody has a vested interest in good quality infrastructure.
Absolutely, Stu, and like we said before, commerce, manufacturing, agriculture, everything in Wisconsin depends on good surface transportation, especially here at the commerce intersection of Wisconsin.
Well, Terry, it's been great having you on today's show. Plan on catching up with you at several different intervals of this project and many of the other ones around the state.
Absolutely, Stu, you know it's always a pleasure.
For more information on Building Wisconsin, follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and be sure to watch additional episodes on YouTube or at our website, buildingwisconsintv.com. The preceding program was sponsored by the Building Wisconsin Television Network.